Best primary weapon for a light mech. That's the Battletech Tactica we're going to explore in this vlog, looking at it from the perspective of what weapon platform meshes well with the design and the goals of a light mech. Because certainly light mechs tend, and I say tend, most of them, tend to focus on speed, because that is the primary survivability mechanism of a light mech, right? We've got the tonnage, whether it's starter or pushing up towards a medium. And once we put in the primary components, the fusion engine, the life support, the base heat sinks, all of that, it doesn't leave a lot for armor or for weapons. And certainly engine size plays a role. There's some light mechs that have a smaller engine rating, a larger engine rating to boost that. And there are some light mechs that are very heavily armored. But, or urban mech is an example of that. And I love the Urby, but you're capped at whatever that light mech tonnage range band is going to be. So even if you go, look, low engine value rating, keep it slow, and we'll pile on the armor, you just don't have that alpha. You just don't have that critical mass, say like where you get into the mediums. Medium mechs, now you've got some tonnage. This is where we start to see, just to framework this out, this is where you start to see a little bit of tonnage where you've got some okay speed. You've got some jump capability. You could take a couple of hits. Not that we want to. We're going to do our best not to take any hits. And then we see multiple weapons, a primary, a secondary, complementary weapons, or we see some kind of heavier weapons, maybe like a PPC or a large laser, because we've got some tonnage to work with. So the primary design focus of a light mech is speed, speed, speed. Stay alive, stay out of firing arcs, stay at range, and if you have to zap or shoot or blast, what is that weapon going to be? Now, tactically, and I pushed this up to the Battletech playlist where we were exploring some different weapon tactica. Inner Sphere, got to clarify that because clans are a little bit different, right? We don't know about the clans yet. Inner Sphere, best weapon, medium laser. If we look at battle value, tonnage, well, battle value is the sum of it all. Tonnage versus range versus damage versus heat, then the medium laser is the best. And we often see this as the primary weapon. Think of all the bug mechs, light mechs, right? Locust, Wasp, Stinger. They all have medium laser, medium laser, medium laser. You do have a few, like the Panther, that'll mount a PPC. You've got the Hussar that has the large laser. It's essentially a large laser delivery platform. But for the most part, you've got autocannon 10s and, Urby 60 variant with the autocannon 20. But primarily, we're going to see medium lasers across the board, because if I have to shoot a variety of targets, a variety of situations, or a luck of opportunity, or drive off another light mech, medium laser does it. Then we've got a little bit of tonnage left, and I do agree, while there are some mechs that mount a single weapon, we do want a little bit of a backup weapon as a light mech, in case my arm gets blown off, or in case I'm in a situation where I really have to fire a lot. So you tend to see machine guns, small missile packs, SRM2s, maybe a 4. So from that focus, what we begin to see now is a secondary weapon. But again, it goes back to the primary. So what is the best weapon out there? Well, we did answer it with the medium laser. But I would make the argument saying the best weapon for a light mech, like if I was going to design a light mech, I would want to focus on speed. I want to keep the speed up. So I want a very large engine to push the speed. Now, I don't want to say you can never have too much speed. That's true. But it gets to a point, if I'm really looking for tonnage, right, to fit in as much as I can and keep that battle value down. But even if I'm not concerned about battle value, I am capped at the battle value based on the tonnage. Let's say the heaviest light mech, where on the battlefield you're like, is it a light or is it a low-end medium? That cap, I want to push the engine, but it reaches a point where you go beyond speed, and I just need to be fast enough, I guess, what I'm trying to framework here. Fast enough that I can outrun everything, fast enough that I can get out of firing arcs, and fast enough that unless it's something like it's an assault mech longbow where it's zeroing in 220 packs, 5 packs, or an SRM carrier that has me at medium range, something that the target, if I can't stay to its firing arc in one turn, if I get that initiative sink, In one turn, I can be out of range or at least be at long range with multiple modifiers up. So that's the speed that I want. Anything beyond that I think is a little too much, or I should say unnecessary. Armor second. Armor. I'd like to take at least a hit, maybe two. I'm not going to get beyond that. And again, my primary defense is going to not to get hit, but that armor is if I kind of mess up or things happen. Weapons. I like long-range missiles on light mechs. The Valkyrie is a great example of it. I like long-range missiles because they have the range that I can complement range with speed. They have the spread. Now, I'm not going to be hitting one slot for 5 points or maximum damage. I'm going to get that spread, and there's variables. But that spread means I can start to soften up some lights and mediums. I could try to crit fish. I can threaten vehicles for more motive hits. I can also fire indirect. And certainly there's a difference between a longbow firing indirect with 220s, 2.5s, or even an archer with 220s. If I've got one single LRM pack firing that, long-range missiles, but it is something. And it's a little bit of a harassment. And often, to sidebar for a moment, if I look at the battle value for a light mech, we talk about earning battle value. The battle value of that light mech, earning it often means I need to kill, destroy, remove, force withdrawal, immobilize, whatever that's going to be, more than that light mech costs. But that changes, that matrix changes a little bit for light mechs. Certainly mediums and heavies and assaults, by the time my stalker goes up smoking or has to pull off the table, based on withdrawal rules, if I'm playing that, then I have to at least have made 1.5 or 2 or beyond in battle value, either destroyed or spread across multiple mechs. How much was battle value for that armor? How much was battle value for that weapons platform I destroyed? Light mechs, they don't have the staying power for that. So light mechs, while it is earning battle value by what they destroy, it's more focused on what do they tie up. So if I've got my light mech kind of running around shooting LRM packs at you and stuff like that, and you break off a Jenner and maybe 2 hovers, 3-1 battle value, I just need to stay alive. I just need to keep running and gunning. I have removed that battle value from going against my other lances or groups. So I tend to prefer weapon platforms on a light that's more of a harassment type nature. LRM packs. I want that 10. 5 is like, the Thorn is a light mech. I regularly play the Thorn. I like it. It's got some good speed. It's got the 5-pack. It's got some medium lasers. It's got okay armor. But the 5-pack is for harassment only. If we look at the Valkyrie, that's got a 10-pack. That's got some bite. There's light mechs that kind of break those molds, like the Panther that's got that PPC. It's unique. It forces you to take notice. So I would like to have a light mech with a 10 or even a 15-pack. Now, that might mean a little bit of customability here, right? Taking that Valk and customizing it. Might have to drop the other weapon systems, which now means I'm essentially forced into that single band. If I'm going for a 15-pack, certainly ammo is a question. I'm going to try and pack it with as much ammo, but I've got nothing else to fall back on if it goes dry. I'm not so much worried about crits on a light mech, because usually by the time your arms start getting blown off and you're moving to left, right torso internals for crits, you're going to get cored out anyway. You just don't have that supporting structure for armor and internals. It's not like a medium or a heavy where things are packed in there and you can take a lot of damage. So I'm not worried about getting cored out. I am worried about the possibility of running low on ammo or just getting into a position, in theory, where you've closed the minimums and all I have is that. I'm firing that 15 with movement penalties and minimum penalties plus your movement penalties. Well, if I've got the speed in the engine as fast as I can, I'm going to kind of stay at range there. That's what I really think is a great weapon for utilizing a light mech. But it changes based on the configuration, based on the lance. So best weapon for a light mech, just crunching the numbers, playing the meta, absolutely medium laser. But I think looking into the SRM 10s and 15s, that offers the tactical flexibility that meshes really well with the design philosophy of a light mech.